Hi, Boob McNutt. No, not just a nickname from a very shameful period of my life, but also a balloon. A balloon for children. For the 1930s Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. 1930. Because nothing helps you and your family forget about the debilitating struggles of the Great Depression quite like an appearance from Boob McNutt. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade has been around for a very long time. Since 1924, to be exact, or to put it in a weird perspective, for longer than the existence of splinter-free toilet paper, an invention that I think has single-handedly made this country weak. Anyway, today the parade is a hallmark of the Thanksgiving mornings for many families all around America, with its most famous aspect, of course, being the balloons. The balloons are filled yearly with hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of helium, a non-renewable resource, but I think that we can all agree that making a giant kung fu panda go spread eagle atop the heads of thousands of children is much better than any of the other stupid things we'd use it for. A bunch of unimportant nerd shit. And they've been doing balloons since the get-go, and some of them have been utterly horrific. So let's start at the beginning. 1924. A time when there were really not that many pop culture characters to make giant effigies to. But that didn't stop the fun. I mean, sure, we didn't have Superman or Kermit or the aforementioned disgusting predator that is Kung Fu Panda and his various vile poses, but we had awesome balloons like the goldfish. Wow, whoa, I hate this. Jeez, this sucks so bad. What a bad start. Let's try to move on. Another addition from a very popular comic strip at the time, the Katzenjammer Kids. Well, these two are fun, and of course joining them is their friend from the same comic strip, the Inspector. Notably less fun. And of course, the Big Turk, seen here riding his, quote, freak horse. Why'd they call it that? And Wobbly Head. Of course, how could we ever forget about Wobbly Head? And those were the 20s. They were fine, they were quick, but now they're over. We move into the next decade, the 1930s, a time when nearly 12 million Americans were out of work, the national income had fallen by more than half in 3 years, and 1 in 4 Americans suffered from hunger. And you know what the country was really pining for? No, not food. Well, actually, yes, food. And a job. And really any means of income. And just general happiness. But also a parade starring Mickey, the first balloon of the day that doesn't make me experience primal fear, and his dog Pluto, a creation that instantly reverses my previously mentioned state of ease. Those eyes are soulless. When I look into them, I see fire and brimstone and misery. Of course, we also have Donald Duck, who is not happy to be there. We also have Tomcat. Fun fact about Tomcat, he's an attempted murderer. See, back in the day, the way that Macy's cleaned up their balloons was to just let go of them. They just float high into the air where any pilot could go up and get them, and upon returning it to Macy's, they'd receive a prize, $100, which, even in the money of the time, was not worth flying headfirst into a giant balloon and trying to catch it. See, in 1932, the Tomcat balloon was let into the air, and in a horrifying accident that literally anybody could have predicted, a novice pilot attempted to catch it but missed, and the balloon hooked onto the plane and sent it into a tailspin freefall. The pilot survived by the skin of her teeth, but still, Tomcat almost murdered a lady. Let's move on. 1940. We're almost out of the Depression. Some shit is going on in Europe, but America is looking to the future. And what better way for Macy's to charge into the future than with the man of tomorrow? Not a bird or a plane, a guy. An alien guy. With superpowers. I think that's the quote. It's Superman. What the fuck is that? That is awful. I hate that. Why is his head so small for his face? Why are each one of his eyes as big as his entire mouth? Why does he have such prominent nipples? Why does his left arm look like it's about to reach for his shit? Is that just me? It looks like he's trying to do something there. I don't like that. That is not Superman. That is a 3D police sketch of a man who has committed an awful crime. But listen, accidents happen. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope to God that whoever made this got the chair, but there's always room for improvement. 1941 saw a new Superman balloon join the fray. A new Man of Steel for millions to adore. How is it worse? How did they manage to make it worse? Guys, he's not shaped like that. Let's get away from Superman, dude. He's ruined for me. They made him fine eventually in the 80s, but some sins just can't be forgiven. And now we're in the 50s. We just won the war. We're a world superpower now. And since the threat of nuclear annihilation is pretty much a guarantee at this point in our history, we might as well dish out the big bucks on some real cool balloons. The goldfish? Tomcat the attempted murderer? Get those dusty bitches out of here, baby. The new and improved America deserves new and improved niche, yet somehow still vague, non-copyright infringing balloon mascots. Mascots like Spaceman, Goldfish with Pinkish Fins. What a catchy name. And The Observer. And the Gorgeous Gobbler. What a beautiful creature with a ridiculous name that I will not address. And how well did this newly built testament to renewed American consumerism fare against the natural world? Pretty bad, actually. The natural world beat the shit out of this thing. 1956, terrible winds. Most of the balloons were actually sidelined because people thought that they wouldn't be able to handle it, but certainly not the mightiest of them all. Certainly not the Gorgeous Gobbler, they thought. Except certainly yes, the Gorgeous Gobbler. Because the Gorgeous Gobbler was blown into a tree and fucking exploded. Stupid ass turkey. The peak of American balloon-related ingenuity murdered by a pointy stick. Somewhat poetic, but that's not what the people were thinking about at the moment. At the moment, people are more concerned with the 300-pound rapidly deflating turkey carcass that was falling on top of them. Nobody got hurt. Maybe. I couldn't find anything on that. Maybe people did get hurt. Maybe people died, even. I don't know. That would suck, though. But enough about innocent civilians. We care about the Gorgeous Gobbler, who could not be kept down. The Gorgeous Gobbler returned in 1957 after massive repairs, and the Gobbler had re-cemented itself as a staple of the parade. Except for the very next year, in 1958, because there was a helium shortage, and so the balloons had to be lifted by cranes, and the Gorgeous Gobbler was too round and fat to have that work. So that, not that cool, unfortunately. But a victorious return in 1959, until its tail feathers were shredded by trees as it was going down Central Park West. And then the exact same thing happened in 1961. Also in 1961, the gobbler's beak, the appendage that it uses to gobble, was stabbed by actually nobody knows. So they just called it there on the gobbler, which is fair. The 60s were fine. Actually, 1963 was rough, cause something happened around Thanksgiving of that year that one may think would turn people off parades for a little bit, for at least a week, right? Wrong. Because 6 days later, we had the 37th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Nothing helps a nation in mourning quite like appearances from Sinclair Oil Corporation's Dino the Dinosaur, Elsie the Cow, and Happy Dragon. Real big grin on that face for 6 days after our leader was struck down by an assassin's bullet. Asshole. I fucking hate that guy. The 1970s were great. Famously, the 70s were great. Our nation was super stable, just like in the decade prior, we all know this, and the parade balloons were awesome. Some real fan favorites, like Weebles, Smile. That's it. Just Smile. It's called Smile. And Kermit the Frog. 1970s Kermit the Frog was the best, dude. 1980s Kermit the Frog? not as great. Why? Because 1980s Kermit the Frog, specifically 1985 Kermit the Frog, suffered a gruesome death in front of millions of his loyal fans. He was disemboweled, guys. Kermit the Frog veered out of control and slammed into an apartment building. A collision that sliced open his stomach and caused him to deflate, allowing children around the world to watch the life force of their favorite Muppet drained from his eyes as the gouge in his abdomen only got bigger. What's weird about this? This was a really rough time for Muppets. November 1985, Kermit killed on national television. And then January of 1986, Big Bird was almost on the Challenger. That's real. That's a real thing that almost happened. Could you imagine being a child, loving the Muppets, and then within 3 months of each other, watching Kermit the Frog be gruesomely and unceremoniously killed, and then watching Big Bird die in a rocket explosion? That's crazy, right? But getting back to the point, let's not forget about Kermit. Because you think a tiny little disembowelment is gonna keep the greatest frog in the world down? You're correct. He was gone. He was gone for about 3 years. But in the 1990s, he was back. Until basically the same thing happened, except this time his head got sliced open and deflated. Also in the 1990s, there was the Cat in the Hat, seen here watching Kermit's fucking head get shredded open. From the 1980s until the late 1990s, wind became an increasingly serious problem for these balloons. The wind also slammed Raggedy Ann into a lamppost, shoved a significantly less creepy Superman into a tree, which sliced off his hand, and an almost identical fate happened to Woody the Woodpecker in 1996. All of this leads us to November 27th, 1997. A day which will live in infamy. High winds struck yet again. The Peter Rabbit balloon was blown on its side, slamming into lampposts. But it was the lucky one, because Sonic the Hedgehog and Quick Bunny were all punctured in the gut or the head, also by lampposts, and died a slow death in front of hordes of now screaming children. But those kids, oh, little did they know that the horrors had only just begun. Barney, everyone's friend Barney, started off strong. With a huge smile and a very friendly wave, he started his path down. But Mother Nature wasn't gonna show him any mercy either. "I thought I already killed all of you," she said, probably, before throwing Barney around like a rag doll back and forth across the street, dangerously careening him out of control and causing a threat to public safety. So, the New York Police Department stabbed him to death over and over again in front of the 1,000-yard stares of 1,000,000 children. And then they started to stomp on his body to get all of the excess air out until he was a lifeless tarp lying dead across 6th Avenue. And that's where we're gonna leave it. Really nowhere to go from there. What's my point in making this video at all? Don't really have one. Just wanted to talk about balloons. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving this year. If you don't celebrate it, I hope you have a good one of these days. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, because I make more. It's not just this one, I'll make more in the future. And also, like and comment and stuff. And also, bye.